Is it like very important for you guys to try and get both Cam and Raylan on the field together? I mean, is that possible given they play similar positions, similar size and everything, or is that something you guys really want to try and focus on here?
Yeah, we have a package where they come out on the field together and a couple different tempos on it. So one where we come out and go fast, and we have a couple different formations, but we know exactly where we're lining up, what we're running, and how we execute there. That helps you see less and less of defensives in those packages. And then one where we can change up where they align in the motion and how they carry the ball and how we throw it to them. Both of them have great traits in running with the football, and they got to be able to stay healthy, which is not taking big hits. They're able to not get hit yet, so that's a good thing to see.
Jalen said that you two have a full Excel grade sheet where you grade on decision making and execution, and I'm just curious, when you looked back with him and kind of diagnosed last season, what were the main things that stood out?
Did you say full Excel?
He said y'all have a full Excel grades sheet.
What's Excel?
Something
That's kind of where I'm at right now with this technology stuff. So my Excel is to be able to get on the computer and do football. But I do write out a grade sheet, and I do think that Miles Fishback types it up, maybe in Excel. I don't know about that, but yeah, that's what I believe playing quarterback is every single play we have a decision to make. All right, whether it's stay with the play called, change the play, stay with the protection called, change the protection, drop back pass, holding the mic, key in the nickel, where I throw the ball. And then I have to be able to execute what my assignment is sometimes. Like in the run game, we've got to be perfect on our footwork, perfect on our ball handling, and perfect carrying out our fake. In the pass game, it's as simple as I make the decision. I got to be able to throw the ball and complete it. Doesn't do me any good if I can make great decisions and not be able to complete the passes that are there. And I've had quarterbacks like that. Man, this guy knows what he's doing, but man, he can't complete it. And then you've had quarterbacks that don't know what they're doing and throw the ball real well, but they get you in trouble with decision making and interceptions and stuff like that. So it's just how I've always graded a quarterback. I remember my first stint in the NFL, I gave Mark Brunell that grade sheet, and he said, "What's this?" And I said, "Well, that's the grade sheet, man." He said, "Oh, I've never been graded since I've been in the NFL." So I said, "Well, you are now." But that's how I believe you get better, too, is that you understand what decisions I'm making and how am I able to execute it.
Coach, you mentioned Raylan Sharp being familiar with the offense. He obviously played with you at Missouri State. I'm curious, where has he maybe improved, like since you last coached him to now?
Yeah, when I first coached him at Missouri State, he had just came in. I think he came in the summer. Didn't even have a spring ball. So as the year went on, he started playing more and more, made some big plays for us. But then when I left and he played for my son, he became their leading receiver. I think he was first team all-conference, maybe an all-American. I thought he was going to stay there. Probably could have got him here, but I didn't want to do that. Blood's thicker than water, I guess they say. And then when he went to Fresno and I found out that he had one more year of eligibility left, I was like, well, we need to bring him in because he really would be a great asset to our team. He was an option quarterback out of high school. I've always had success with option quarterbacks playing other positions, whether it's DB, because they know football, or receiver, or some have played running back. But there is an advantage of getting an athlete that plays a different position when he played quarterback in high school. So I like him a lot. I think he's a really good player, and he's been good for our team because of his work ethic. And he's quiet, but he leads by example.
Coach Ben was telling us last week that Remy Cofield, the new GM, would be kind of around the program, kind of learning the guys here as he gets on the job. Have you had any interactions with him? And if so, kind of what have been your impressions of him?
No, sir, I haven't had any reactions. It's above my, what do you say, pay grade? Is that what you say? Whatever.
having that be above your pay grade now, coming from your head coaching experience now being a coordinator, where now that's Sam's thing to deal with?
Yeah, it's fun in certain things, in certain aspects. That's definitely one of them. In like when I was at A&M, assistant coaches weren't involved or knew anything about the NIL or anything like that. It was just you guys coach, and this all goes to this department. So that was a good deal. You didn't have to worry about it. Sometimes you lost a kid or two because you didn't know and you couldn't help recruit them. But that's how they dealt with it there. But I'm enjoying my role. I'm happy being in the classroom. It's been a lot of fun. Being back teaching every day in the classroom and the relationships you build with the players, and they know way more about me than anybody else on the football team. So that's been kind of cool.
Sam has been high on Rohan Jones at tight end and has said you guys, wants to get him the ball a little bit more in practice. But what do you feel like you got in him, and how much can he fill that role of kind of a big-bodied pass catcher?
Yeah, he definitely can fill it. He's got great speed. I think if we lined up and raced the receivers, he might end up 3 or 4 in that race. So he's very, very explosive. He had a good start, really good start. We were doing a good job. And then the first time where he's out there by himself and the coaches are over here, it became a little bit big and fast to him, and he didn't play as well as we like him to. But he came back from it very, very strong, and that's a key to his pride. And I think he's very prideful and a great competitor. I think he'll be really good for us.
And then with so many new guys on the offense, what's the process like? How do you go about connecting with the guys as athletes on an individual level?
Yeah, I think, the first thing we did is had our mat drills winter program. So you're watching them lift in the weight room with them, trying to encourage, trying to motivate. Then you go out in the running part of it, and you're seeing who is in shape, who's not in shape, who can fight through pain, who's, gives in a little bit. So you try to get to know them a little bit more on that aspect. And then now is the big part, this spring ball, and seeing, how they handle the installation, what's new, who blows a plug, who can really do it and pick it up quickly. One thing that you do notice, in the old days where you didn't have as many transfers coming in, you had the freshmen. Sometimes it took the freshmen a long time to learn the install and learn how things were going and how they were doing that. These guys now that have transferred and maybe had 2 coordinators, now their third offense that they're in, they naturally start picking things up quicker than they would have just as a freshman, because they know how the installation goes. They know what they need to know about this play. They correlate it to another language and then eventually get rid of that other language and really understand it. So that's one thing I've been impressed with this group, particularly some of those old linemen, the tight end crew that came in, is they've been able to really get the offense down pretty quickly.
You talked about teaching the schematics. How much has Talon embraced that role as a teacher as well?
Yeah, he's done a really nice job of leading. Part of maturing as a quarterback and leading is communicating with your teammates and motivating your teammates and, not accepting when they don't do something right. And I try to encourage that, like, hey, you go tell him what he should have done there, and not me. And then they know that he knows what he's talking about, whether they're short on a route or deep on a route or didn't break at the right angle. A lot of times our quarterbacks now are going and making that correction to the players, and that means a lot more than just coming from me.
Yeah, Taylor now has a year of SEC experience under his belt. So sorry, forgot my question. It'll come back to me. He now has a year of experience in the SEC. Is year 2 of Talon about maxing efficiency in what he does well? Obviously a runner, or are there some things that you're looking to implement in year 2?
Yeah, both. Both. You got to get better at what it is that you're good at, and improve at it, and be more consistent at it. And that is his ability to run the football, but also he's a very good thrower. Some routes he's way better than others. You know, we're trying to make sure we're doing that more and using his talents more. And then you got to improve on that, 20% that must get better at, so you can play at a very high level consistently.
You talked about Monte a little bit, but how much and what areas does he have to improve on to go from a guy that was mostly on special teams, coming from baseball, to being a guy that can be maybe your 50-50 type of guy? And you talked about maybe dropping some weight with him. I guess what factors go into whether you decide to do that or not?
Yeah, how these next 2 weeks go. I felt like he's made some really good strides, and I don't want to, God gave him a big body, and he's physical, and he knows how to use it. If he's a little bit quicker twitch on a few things, on his releases and getting out of his break, does that make him that much better, or does that hinder him because now we're taking away one thing that's different in him is his size? So you always like those outliers that are a little bit different than anybody else, and his outlier is that he's big and physical, and so it's a decision we're going to have to make after spring ball. I've talked to him about it before, and he's talked to me about it, and we're like, okay, which way should we go? And the decision was let's go through spring ball and see what your positives are, what your negatives are, and then make a decision after that.
It takes long just to see Rohan Jones and Mike Washington and be like, wow, that's a pretty good looking guy. Were you surprised to see those guys available and, I guess playing kind of on a smaller level?
Not really. There's a lot of really good players out there, and when you watch Rohan and obviously played at Montana State and did a great job playing there, and then go back and see where he was before he even went there, he improved tremendously. And then we really liked his personality and his attitude and his toughness, and we've coached a number of kids from Canada before, and he had more understanding of football than some of the other ones that I've coached. He really knew the game, and it was fun talking to him and him being able to picture what you're saying and him know it. So I think you're going to see him excel and do really well for us.
And last one, with Taylor, we talked about being in the offense year two and all this stuff, but how much, I guess, of a benefit is it going to be beyond that with what looks like an improved offensive line for him?
Yeah, well, I think that'll be huge. I think it'll make him that much better, and when you look at the size that we have now, we're way different. We got some things we still need to figure out, like that right side of the O-line, who's going to be the starting guard, who's going to be the starting tackle. Colby's down right now, so mainly Blackwell and E. Harris and Shaq have been rotating between the tackle and guard. Shaq's not going inside, but the other two guys have been rotating in there. And then you're going to get Colby back to the mix, and he's a heck of a player. He was playing really well. It's a shame that happened, but so I think that the competition there will make them all better, And then the left side I feel really good about, and even the backups there are doing a really nice job. So the ability to have the depth and the competition is going to make them all better.
Coach, appreciate you.
All right, thanks, guys.